command of 30 individuals. And I think if it doesn't kill you, it makes you stronger. I know a lot of people can't say that about their military service, but as far as I was concerned, it was nothing but a positive experience for the most part for me.
Ted?
Myself, I found it was a very positive experience. I learned a lot of responsibility. There's also a great deal of my thought behind it is that after you've done 4.5 years on a submarine, it's puts a lot of things into perspective. Of it's just everything else is a lot more laid back and easy to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
Did either of you experience any post-traumatic stress or any sort of effects from the war?
No, I never really had the enduring strain of combat, so I really couldn't say that. I got to travel Europe. I had a great job in the military, and it really was not that stressful of an ordeal for me. The incidents we did have were few and far and in between, so it wasn't accumulated stress for me. Mm-hmm. We were essentially at peace at the time.
I actually wanted to ask you, if you could change something, an issue for veterans, if you could improve something, what would it be?
I would have to say it was the care that they received when they're coming home from the service. Whether they think they need it or not, I think there should be some type of outtake or intake program for them and make it mandatory, whether they like it or not. And I think I would change that. A lot of times you're suffering from things that you're not aware of it. You're not a clinical psychologist. You don't know that. But I do think that they should look at you a little better upon leaving the service.
Well, I know that in Massachusetts today there are over 500,000 veterans, and the Department of Veterans Affairs, they have some 237,000 VA professionals with, they provide health care to more than 5 million veterans with like over 157 hospitals and 850 community-based clinics. So do you think that they need more health care?
You know, those are sort of misleading numbers because not all veterans have access to that health care, you know.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, yes, and it depends on the status of your discharge, when you served, and there are a lot of other criteria involved in that. There are a lot of veterans out there that could really use health care that just have no access to it at all and will be denied by the VA. I know some people may argue that with me, but I could name individuals that I personally know of that have been turned away by the VA for help.
And Ted, let me ask you, if you could identify an issue, what would you like to see? What would you like to change for veterans?
One thing that we actually worked on recently was there's a debate in the Massachusetts legislature on whether they should extend the veterans benefits for at least Massachusetts veterans to cover full college education as opposed to the tuition. As was previously mentioned, tuition only, it's a very small portion of college expenses. So that's one of the things they're now looking at, possibly hoping to change. And, personally, I would find that very helpful. But
Michael, could you talk to us a little bit about the Student Veterans Organization at the University of Massachusetts?
I would love to talk about the Students Veterans Organization. We just got club status at the university last week, as a matter of fact. Ted and myself have been trying for over a year to get a club. And what started it was we wanted to get care packages to the troops. And that's really was the impetus for us starting the Student Veterans Organization. And then it dawned on me, there was no veterans center at the school. And when I found out the number of veterans, I was thinking, why can't we have the same thing that I enjoyed back in the 70s to help acclimate students or veterans back to into civilian life and to school life at the same time? And it's a self-supporting mechanism for veterans. It helps veterans, the older veterans mentor the younger veterans coming into the program. And I think that would be a great thing at the school.
So is there a place now, if you are a student and a veteran, should they contact the student government, or how would they?
We should have our information up and running soon on the club website at the college. If not, you can get a hold of me, Michael_Peoples at uml.edu, and I would be glad to give you information. Right now, we're orphans and don't have a dedicated room, but we are advocating for a dedicated room at this time.
Okay, terrific. Well, I want to thank you very much, Michael Peoples, Ted Sarazinski, ladies, Lacey Diorio, and Ashlyn Grady, for joining us on this show,
You're very
talking
welcome.
about veterans issues. And we're actually going to make a trip to the local Veterans Center here in Lowell. So I want to thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yep. Thank you very much for having us.
This is our mission statement, and this is our history. So what I'll do is I'll just highlight it, okay? Legislation passed by Congress, signed into law by the President, charges eligibility for the Vet Center Readjustment Services and extends definition of the Vietnam era for war zone veterans. 1979, the Disabled American Veterans Service Organization got together with some veterans from Vietnam who were meeting together in rap groups to discuss their situation. As you may or may not be aware, when Vietnam veterans came back home, many times there was a less than happy reception. Many veterans' own families turned against them, and I think the phrase "shoot the messenger" comes to my mind. I was a part of that group, and I was a part of going through some of that societal abuse, and it really was. So we had a tendency as Vietnam veterans to shut down and not even admit we had been over there. Consequently, we couldn't talk about these things with anybody and the horrors of war. World War II folks weren't interested in us because they just wanted to tell us about a real war. Congress didn't declare war in Vietnam, but nevertheless, over 58,000 people died there. And it doesn't take a congressional bullet to kill you, you know. So that's how the vet centers got started in 1979. They came under the purview and administration of the Department of Veterans Affairs, and that's where it's been ever since. We've been here in Lowell for 20 years now, first as a satellite, and then as a full-fledged vet center.
All right, what kind of things do you do here? Do you have meetings? Do you ever speak at schools? Or?
Yes, all the above. You name it, I'll probably do it if I haven't done it yet. What we do is we try to recruit veterans to come in here, and I'll show you around the waiting room area. The waiting room area is set up more or less with homey furniture, and it's not a clinical atmosphere, and that's on purpose, because when veterans go to the Veteran Administration Hospital, it's a very clinical atmosphere, and people seem to be a lot less inclined to share their life stories or very personal things that are bothering them in that kind of a setting. And it was discovered early on that hominess is where it's at. Also, a lot of veterans that are counseled here are counseled by other veterans. Myself and my team leader, Dr. Jake